file.
So a PIF file is a product information file.
Yeah, I just realised that. I think it's file.
I guess.
I hope no one ever calls me out on that.
Yeah, but we totally do cosmetics.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. You good?
I am good.
Hi there, welcome to Directors Debrief, episode 26. Which,
That's right.
Dude, that means half a year's worth of, because we do this weekly.
Yeah.
52 weeks in a year.
All right. We've
That's
passed
not
it.
bad.
That's a
That's
big
not
thing.
bad.
And 6 months in.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Which is awesome. Do you know what? We've got two things that we want to talk about today.
Okay.
I need to set a reminder to reset the camera. But, dude, something happened. I got vindicated.
Okay.
You know the parking incident that I talked about?
Mm-hmm.
Let me just set this before I unleash all hell. Right. The parking incident where just a recap, I parked 30 centimeters beyond the dip in the curb.
Yeah, right.
This guy came out and he went, "You parked on my driveway." And I said, "Sir, this is a public road." And he goes, "You can't park with your tyre like that." I said, "Yes, I can." I went inside, found out I couldn't, but it was only a £25 fine, so I figured, screw it. I'll mess with him just for one night. Went to the shop last night, craved a little bottle of Coca-Cola, and I'm walking to the shop. As I'm walking back, I notice he's parked on the main road, all four wheels off the dip. Like, completely blocking. Sure, his own driveway.
Yeah.
But the dip in the curve where he said you can't park, his whole car. And I took a picture, and I'm going to get Ram to blur the number plate, because I don't want to start a war.
Yeah.
But we'll blur the number plates, and I'll show you. He parked, like, I had this much over the curb. He had his whole car.
On his own drive.
No. On the public road in front of his own drive.
Okay. So he was blocking his own access.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's still illegal.
But that's it.
Yeah.
The thing he was calling me out for was because I had a wheel over the dip.
Why did you ring his doorbell?
Huh?
You should have rang his doorbell.
Yes, I'm not.
I thought when you were saying you were going to take a photo of it, you were going to send it to have your £30 fine.
No. I'm waiting now. If I get that fine, you better believe I'm ready.
Okay.
You know something else I've noticed?
It's been more than 2 weeks, right, since it happened?
Yeah, I haven't had anything yet. I keep checking my mail. The other thing that's been bothering me, I've noticed my neighbours are putting their bins on the thing to like reserve the parking spot. Get the hell out of here.
So you can just move them, right?
Yeah, but I have to get out of my car unless I ram it with my car.
Yeah. But I think showing that you're moving them shows like they're not doing anything.
Here's the thing. I know if I move it, they're going to run out and go, "Oh, what are you doing?" And then I go, "You can't do this." And I'm in the same predicament of, "Mister, you can't park in my drive."
Right.
I've learned.
It's tough life. It's a tough world out there. You gotta.
Wait, Abbey Park Road.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. You don't know what city we're in. No, but that road is it's a interesting road. Yeah.
Nice area that you live in though. The complex.
Mate, I love the complex. Yeah. I love my neighbours. I've realised we have a relatively high turnover of neighbours.
Yeah.
Do I say what? No, I'm not going to say it. But there was this. What I will say is there was this really sweet elderly couple.
Yeah.
And I saw them like moving a sofa, and like their son used to drop off their grandson for them to look after, and I used to always bump into them, and it was always a nice, pleasant hello. And they were moving the sofa, and I said, "Can I help you with that?" And they said, "Oh no, it's fine." And I thought that was the last of it. But every time I bumped into it, they gave me like a little chocolate bar. Or like some cookies. It was so sweet of them.
What?
And then they moved out, and their next neighbour I liked for very different reasons. And then once that neighbour moved out, I have a new neighbour which I'm not yet met. But I really like my neighbours. My neighbours are awesome.
It's a mystery then. It's like,
who's
next
I've heard noises. I know they're in.
Okay.
But I haven't bumped into them.
Oh, all right. That's good.
But yeah, that's what's going on in my life. What's going on in your life? How you doing?
What's going on in my life? Life is good. Life is well. We went to see Top Gun. Don't know why I'm plugging that, but real good film. We went together.
I've thoroughly enjoyed that, yeah.
I just forgot about that.
I was there.
That was good. But yeah, no, it's been good. Life's good. Yeah, going away.
Awesome.
All right. We've just forgotten to do something.
Damn. You know Dan still hasn't sent us a year's supply of ice. The episode isn't live yet, but I
feel we said something in there that probably didn't do his brand any good, but...
What did we say?
I think we were talking about how it was a magic pill that probably doesn't do anything.
No, we said it's not a magic pill that fixes all of your problems.
But
we don't know whether it fixes a lot of other problems yet. I feel great.
Yeah,
I just don't know if it's real or not.
Yeah, you know? But you find when you're feeling good,
yeah,
you put that towards heights. But when you're feeling down, it's not heights, it's just you.
No, that's the thing. And recently, I I was just not in the right headspace. I didn't think of heights.
No?
I wasn't like, why isn't this fixing it yet?
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm best equipped to deal with this thanks to heights.
It's like
Any excuse that I can give. What do you
it's
want
like a
to review?
vaccination. Cool. So I'm not sure, to be fair. Maybe we'll do something at the end.
Okay, let's do something at the end.
Let's crack on with the show because
Okay.
the viewers, the listeners, they're eager.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Our viewership has changed drastically. We actually have listeners in China, Russia, Ukraine. Only one person in each country, by the way. It's not a huge person. We've passed some cool milestones. Over 115 on Spotify.
Yep.
Over 1,000 views on YouTube. So like it's happening.
Let's get in there. Yeah.
Here's something that happened to our demographic though. We changed from pretty much a 50-50 split of men and women to 88% guys now.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a drastic.
The bros.
And the bros. I know why this happened though. I think we used to have 2 listeners. One of them was our good friend Anya.
Yeah.
So that's why it was 50-50. I don't think there was a large group of men and a large group of women listening to us.
No. But if it's 88%, that means there's 88 guys listening.
Yeah, a lot of bros.
A lot
So
of bros.
we do have to sort of tailor. You got to tailor your work to your demographic.
Absolutely.
So what do Russian guys like?
Yeah,
I
right.
shouldn't use the Russian demographic.
So have we just spoken about? That's going to be very.
No, we're going to talk about what we always talk about. Things
Yep.
we're incredibly passionate about. Normally e-commerce,
Yep.
but also a little bit of what e-commerce has done.
Okay.
We were in this very room with a client last Friday.
Yep.
A very, very good meeting.
How long? About 5 hours.
About 5 hours, man. Zoom really condenses topics, but in the flesh.
What's your opinion on that? Because I was
wanna
doing
get into
something,
this?
and look, we can't have in-person meetings all the time. We just don't have the time for that. Not just us, we as people don't. Like, they were very busy, we were very busy. But after a couple of years, first time you'd met one of the clients, one of the people in the...
3 people in that team.
Yeah, I hadn't met one of them. And the first time I'd met them.
Yeah.
And... yeah, it was long due. I mean, they're an important client of ours. You know, there's a lot that we had to discuss, catch up on.
Yeah.
And it's just stuff you don't get done through Zoom because Zoom is too straight to the point.
Yeah.
It's like the WhatsApp of conversation, right? It's very much this. You don't write essays to someone. It's like, hey, how are you? I'm good. What are you up to? Blah blah blah. Whereas a conversation, a sit down like that, was a real phone conversation. It was a real discussion, basically, that we got to capture. Yeah.
For me, the biggest difference is the context behind certain things. And this, I think, goes exclusively applies between an agency and a client, or 2 clients, or two groups of people that don't work for the same company. I think internally, you and I could probably Zoom every day and like get what we need to get done.
Yeah.
But when you're meeting a client, I think there's often an exchange of something, i.e., an agency and a client in exchange for services for money, or a presentation of like, we think this is the right direction, a pitch to go in one direction versus another.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get answers that might not be what you're looking for. You want a yes, you get a no, or you want a no, you get a yes.
Sure.
The thing about in-person meeting is I feel like you get a lot more context, and so that's the thing that I felt from what I've noticed now that we're hosting a lot more, not a lot, but a lot more in-person meetings.
Yeah.
I'm noticing that I'm getting the context behind those decisions that people are making. And that's helping me either understand what their concern is or address what their concern is.
Sure.
Whereas via Zoom, there is a lot of... Also, Zoom is quite easy to back out, right? Let me discuss this internally and get back to you.
Yeah.
But in-person meetings, you get to the bottom of stuff. You hash it out then and there.
Yeah.
But they take 5 hours.
They do, right? It was a nice 5 hours, don't get me wrong. It wasn't like sat in a room, couldn't
Do
get
it
out.
again in a heartbeat.
Yeah, but hopefully not too soon, because we need to get things going on. I think you covered that perfectly. And I think now, especially the people you've not met, I hope provided the meetings go well, you build trust that you simply can't build any other way. Trust and belief that, they're the guys we're going to go with. I mean, we were talking about an offering that we hadn't spoken about before with them. And we had spoken about it before, but it would been a lot more over Zoom and a lot more over those kind of meetings. Whereas when we were there and we were just showing them the real results and we were able to have a real conversation, it became a no-brainer. And I think it's things like that are unlocked.
Yeah. What do you think about traveling salespeople, though? What do you think they should be doing? Spending more time behind a computer or driving out to see people? It's hard, right?
It's hard.
I think you have a better chance of closing something if you're in person.
Yeah.
But,
I think, though, the expectation has to change. Okay. So I had a meeting the other day and I was really dreading it because in my calendar, the person had blocked off 2 hours to come and see me. I think 2 hours or an hour and a half, but it was a bit too much, right? And we'd already caught up with each other about 2 months ago. It was a fantastic meeting and it only lasted around 20 minutes and it was extremely productive. Again, they gave me some gems. I've gone, it's been able to fix an issue that we had going forward. If they could show that thing, if they took into account not just their time, but the other person's time a bit more, and it's like, I'm just quickly popping in, it'll be a quick 15-20 minute call, just like a Zoom call. I think they'd get a lot more people on board because if someone pops in and sees you for 15 minutes and it's strict, you're happy. But when you feel you have to entertain someone, put on a bit of a show, get them,
like a defense mechanism kicks in. I'm immediately like, well, do you have an appointment? You know? Like I immediately want to avoid it until it's at a scheduled time. So I know it's not interfering with other work that I need to get done. But like you say, sometimes they're really, really useful.
Definitely. So I think salespeople need to take that on board. People want to see them. People are happy to see them with the value, but appreciate people are now in the work ethic of they live on their calendar. They work to their calendar. So find a way to slot in where it doesn't affect too much. But cool.
Awesome.
All right.
We're ready to discuss what we're here to discuss.
Yeah, what are we here to discuss?
So the client that we had that really long meeting with, we actually got into a conversation of e-commerce versus traditional bricks and mortar retail. And we've been saying this for a really long time. You need to be on e-commerce.
Yeah.
We've never actually said that retail is dead. You can see it subtly in other, people who might be in the e-commerce space might be trying to push the narrative that retail is dead.
Yeah.
We've never said that, and I don't think we've ever believed that, right? Where do you stand on retail? Do you think it's going to survive? Do you think it's coming back?
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, for years and years, right, you showed me a post that's coming out tomorrow, right? And I'm going to tease this tomorrow or Friday. But it's basically, here at WP, World Products here, for years and years, we were pushing to brands how Amazon is serious. They need to take it seriously. Maybe we were a little bit early in our thinking, a bit too early in some cases where we simply couldn't explain it to people. But we were pushing how, certainly in healthcare and beauty, cosmetics, pharma, Amazon is the place, Amazon's where it's going to be, everything there. So for years, people built the belief that all we care about is e-commerce, right? Like we think the offline is dying. And maybe that was in our language that we were saying, guys, you need to take offline less seriously. What happened through COVID, just general change, Amazon growth that was always going to happen, in my opinion, is people shifted completely to the other side of the spectrum. As humans, we don't have it in between. We go from one extreme to the other, and everyone was like, e-commerce is going to replace everything. I mean, something that we thought was going to happen, but they've gone, nah, the retail offline is dead. And going back to your original question, do I believe it or not? I don't. I wholeheartedly think retail is here to stay. It just has to evolve and change to adapt. And those that think offline retail is completely dead and we're all going e-com have forgotten the full appreciation for in-person experience and in-person shopping that I love. Like I do love going out and getting something, but on the same token, there's room for both, and we don't have time to be going into a store for every single thing we need.
So what's the purpose of e-commerce then? Sorry, not e-commerce, bricks and mortar. What is going to convince people to go back? Because not many people are going. You know, the stats show most people prefer to get stuff online or whatever. That every analytic we've looked at seems to suggest we're really in a good place in terms of working in e-commerce. What's retail got to do to bounce back? I got a couple ideas, but I'm keen to hear what you think.
All right, we'll go into yours. But let me push this. I mean, it goes back to our first part of this conversation, which was Teams or Zoom versus in-person meetings, right?
Smart.
It's the same kind of thinking. Like, do we have time to go into a store for every little thing we need for my soap, for my cosmetics products? I don't have time. Same as, do I have time for an in-person meeting every single day? We're not in that world anymore. We need to get things done. We're trying to get as much productivity squeezed out of every day. It's the same with e-commerce. That helps. But to actually build a relationship or to see a full selection, to feel it, to enjoy shopping, which people do, I do. As much as I pretend I don't, I do. Yeah, you go into a cool shoe shop, you go to somewhere, you feel something that you don't feel in e-commerce.
Yeah.
You're able to touch and feel the products.
Your missus is gonna snippet this, and
so she's gonna love that.
It's like, I don't want to go shopping. Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, she's always talking about e-commerce. All she does is shop on e-commerce. Like, she likes that. So it's quite funny how that happens. But yeah, I think there's a place for both, and brands, in my opinion, it's so generic, and maybe I haven't given this enough thought, as I'm sure you have, is that experience and that relationship, they need to double down on how they do that. And I think, in my opinion, Apple's a great example of that. But what are your thoughts?
Exactly the same. I think it's entirely about the experience. I think I'll give you this example, and I've promised myself I'll just be more like honest and speak about names, not just go the client or whatever. This isn't a client. I've worked for 2 different retail companies. I've worked for a bunch, but these 2 in particular, O2 and John Lewis, and very different ethos as an employee of both. When I started at John Lewis, I think I was about 17, 16, and they said that the average lifetime value of a customer is X.
Okay.
They said a very big number. They said you shouldn't push them to buy then and there.
Okay.
There's no need, because over a lifetime, we assume a customer of John Lewis will spend X amount.
Sure.
And they're happy with that. That's enough for them. And so that kind of really relaxes you when you're on the shop floor. When you're speaking to people, you're not thinking what I used to think when I worked at O2, which was conversion rates, footfall. We had a footfall counter. If you ever walk into a retail store and you see 2 little like nubs by the door, and the employees ducking under it, that's why. That counts how many people walked in the door.
Okay.
And everybody's measured against that. How many of those people that walk through the door that convert? That's why we hate families. We don't just hate you as a collective. We hate that you count as 5 and sometimes you only come in for a top-up.
Yeah.
You have no idea how bad that is for the next week's meeting or the next morning's briefing. But yeah, it was very much for every customer that walks through the door, how well did you do to convert them?
Sure.
And that creates incredibly different environments from different retail outlets. So John Lewis, the people I spoke to were very relaxed. They'd come there on a Sunday. They were just potentially browsing. They might buy something, they might not. Whereas if you go into, this is not just O2, but like phone retail stores are very, like they'll hound you and they'll do everything they can. There's been some undescribable things that I've seen at different phone shops.
Right.
Like downright illegal, but that it's the aim to get to your target to actually get your bonus.
Yeah.
But the thing that I'm going to turn it around for O2 is that they had a series of shops called Stores of the Future. And they created these different little environments, beanbag chairs, a sofa, like a dining table.
Sure.
And an advisor would come up to you and give you the phone that you were there to like buy, and you get to use the phone whilst sat in those places. And it was about experiencing the product. It wasn't about getting sold the product. It was about experiencing it. And so that was my very long-winded way of saying that I think if retail is going to survive, its core focus it should be about what is the experience of going into a retail shop, rather than, this shop is going to make us 50,000 a year or whatever in revenue. It can't be like that. You should probably have a online store to back that up with. Yeah. But it should be like, how do I come in and experience these things?
I love that. And do you think that it will... So Apple, obviously you said O2, they give you the time to experience a product before you buy, because that will be enough to convince you, rather than you trying to give all the best, say the best attributes and then they buy.
Yeah.
Do you think that will convince companies where... I'm really sounding like a boomer here, potentially, but where quality has degraded in products, not electronics necessarily, but in other products over the years, clothing and so on. Do you think that by improving the experience of the products, or improving the products as such, then that will improve the experience?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think you sound like a boomer when you say things aren't made. Oh yeah, you do. They don't make them like they used to. But I think that's true no matter where you look. And I know this because I was recently, me and my sister redid my mum's room in her house. And we were pulling apart these from the 80s, 70s maybe, these wardrobes that were built into the wall.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare to rip them apart. They were built tough as shit. Like,
they were built for a couple of hundred years.
You know, they were really, and so that I always think back to that. And so, I think that's a big deal in terms of the quality of the products. But there's other things that different retail outlets, like, I don't think, ultimately, I think people like Apple care about the experience because it results in sales. But they have that thing in the middle. Most people just care about sales. They care about the experience. I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that most Apple employees will twist this at an awkward angle. It was on like a reel I saw. So that when you go in, you do that and you make physical contact with the product.
Right.
And there's been tons of research. They made us do this at O2. Like, if you have the phone, or go to the back, get out a phone, put it in their hand, make them feel it. When you make physical contact, increases like 15% your probability of buying.
Yeah.
And so there is a science behind all of this.
Yeah.
But like, if you give me something and I put it in my hand and it feels like crap, I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah.
So there is an argument to be made for what you said. The quality is important.
Amazing. I think this is where, I mean, you said O2 were one of the earlier ones of measuring footfall and things like that. That's kind of the equivalent of measuring traffic in an e-commerce site, measuring conversion rates and so on, which is probably basic e-commerce in today's world. Conversion and traffic and all of that is done. That's still important, but it's, you know, it's not going to give you the edge.
I said the word conversion in a meeting the other day. Do you remember? And the person I was in a meeting with, such an old word. I was like, when did this happen?
But he was so right. He was right. Yeah, he was spot on. Actually,
right,
what does it mean, firstly, anymore? And so on. So I think where we're going with e-commerce, you know, in terms of measuring things such as average order value for the customer, average lifetime value for the customer, measuring metrics that we hadn't measured before, kind of seeing off-site traffic coming in as well. So the same kind of thing comes into the science for offline retail, maybe, where you're trying to measure a lot more in terms of metrics, and that will hopefully justify it to brands when they're like, this shop doesn't bring us any revenue. It's like, no, but if you can measure how that shop then maybe drives someone to go purchase the product online, maybe through a unique QR code or whatever it is. There's another thing that's overused, QR codes, but I'll go with it. But unique ways of actually measuring how effective that store is, rather than just saying, we had 100 people in the store and we only generated one sale. I don't think that's going to work, you know?
I've just thought of a great idea. I don't know if I want to say it.
Okay.
But it's not in our industry, so they can steal it. Phone shops, right?
Right.
Why don't they take O2's idea of stores of the future? And I got this idea from something that my phone provider failed to do. But what if you go into the store, you have that experience, and you get that QR code? That's all you get, just a tiny QR code. You go home, you think about it, and then you order it. Like, you just scan it, your deal is there, the pricing is there, your data, your phone. You just scan it, and you're like, I'm ready. And you can buy now.
I think that's brilliant. And that is happening in some clothing industry, right? Where not quite the QR code system.
Right, next.
Where they're actually encouraging you, where you're into the store and you're like, oh, do you have my size? And they're like, probably not. I don't even think they try anymore. They're like, no, we don't, but we can order it online and we can deliver it to you, or you can click and collect. I'm so surprised when they made that shift and they were like doing it. So the industry is, you know, we're not thinking of something absolutely breakthrough, but I like to think we're trying to think a little bit ahead where we go. And I think in the kind of healthcare industry we're in, once again, this industry lags behind other retail, right? Clothing was already thinking about this next, and other retailers, John Lewis, they were already thinking about how this hybrid would work. Whereas in healthcare, this is still not there. Maybe Boots are veering onto it, but still very limited, especially with what's going on with them at the moment. So maybe that's an area for World P in the longer term. Maybe we actually pay a visit to the offline side and look at this experience side. Who knows?
Integrate the two. Oh shit!
This could be.
We should not have said that on camera.
Yeah, but on the same token, we say it and then we do it. But it's an interesting one. For a long time, I thought that, like, I like the idea of the experience thing, but why wait for someone else to do it? Maybe there's a way that we can help brands. One of the brands we're running a D2C site for, maybe there are things, you know, if they're ready to invest in that area, maybe there are areas that we could look at for them in the offline experience.
Hold on to your hats.
To taper off, I actually read an article where electronic sales are really down compared to year on year. So that's a really interesting thing. So why do I think healthcare lags behind? It's because it's relatively flat, which means that they don't need to necessarily be as innovative as other industries, because they know the sales will come. Okay, you may get an innovative healthcare product, but on the whole, they know that if they've got a good product and they're positioned well in a market that doesn't have too much competition, or they've got a moat, they're secure. And I think that's a huge thing. And it's up to companies like ourselves and plenty of companies out there in different areas of this that push them forward. And that's what they rely on. And I think that's the fun of it, right? Being the ones that, it's hard to explain. You know, we tear our hair out sometimes, but it's fun, you know, when we can see we've pushed them along and they're seeing the results to go through. What do you think on that?
Man, annoyingly, you said exactly what was on my mind.
Okay.
Not annoyingly, but when you were talking about the compliance, so that got me thinking. That's interesting. In my head, the only theory I've been able to come up with prior to you telling me compliance is because they can, right? It's almost a necessity. I mean, some of our clients' products aren't a necessity, and some really are. Like, I remember you telling me about this, and you know, I saw a few of these messages myself of during the middle of the pandemic, elderly people literally just reaching out to thank us for getting the product there. Yeah. Like, you realize we sell this. It's not a free service. Thank you for being our customer. But yeah, it's, you know, it's even when the shops opened up, people most vulnerable were afraid to go to the shop. Yeah. They were able to buy online, in some of our clients' instances, for the exact same price with delivery. Yeah. And so it's, I think the shift only happened once they couldn't, but because they can. They can lag behind. And that's I think and Ollie, our marketing director, is going to love that I'm about to say this, but I think that's the curse of having something that's really, really good, is that you can you can afford to neglect a lot of things until you really can't. Yep. You know?
Absolutely. And I think that's why, I mean, really plugging ourselves today, but the outsourced partner model works because internally they're looking at each other and they're seeing success. They're seeing success through and through. Yeah. And working with an outsourced partner that doesn't have a taste of that success, but comes in and says, right, I need to work with this brand and go forward. Yeah. That helps them think innovatively without needing to change the culture too much of what they're doing. But yeah, it's really interesting. I think even before I'd said it out loud, I hadn't thought of it enough as to why it does lag behind in certain industries. But I'm really excited about, as we said, the offline model, the experience, but also the drive away from, the drive through to where e-commerce goes now for these healthcare brands. Have we hit the peak? I don't think so. And maybe that's where our team and our thoughts, we need to think, okay, how can we make this better? Yeah. Kind of getting knowledge from other industries or other companies in other markets, and helping our brands. Mm-hmm.
Do you know enough about Web3? Because I'll be honest, the space that we're in, I regularly think about this. Right, I'm like, I actually don't know enough about Web3.
Yeah, I think it's something to obviously. Web3 is a funny one because it's related to crypto and all of that stuff where I roll a little bit, but
I know because in my head I'm like, Ash loves crypto, and it's really not the case. No, Ash loves Bitcoin and only Bitcoin. He doesn't give a shit about the rest.
No, look, I think crypto's got a future. It's got a very strong future. The issue we're in at the moment is no one actually knows what crypto does, what it actually, where the benefits are, and everyone's just, we're in that .com bubble at the moment. I think Bitcoin is the Amazon of the .com bubble that we'll plow through, and it often gets tied to the others. But anyway, when it comes to Web3, I think it's going to be really exciting. I see a place for all this stuff, NFTs and whatnot. But as a company, I think we keep our eye on the industry, but we don't need to get overly excited straight away because that's coming. We need to learn it, make sure that we're ready to take it on as things develop and as e-commerce goes. But at the moment, there's plenty to get on with. And that's not being stuck in our ways. That's more getting your timing right.
Right, because it's such a fine line. And I've got a couple of great examples of this. Okay. We committed to, I say we, I've been here a couple of years, but you committed to Amazon a long, long time ago. Been in this space, 7, 8 years?
Yeah. But, it was most recently where we fully, as we joined together, that's where we committed fully.
Yeah, but again, it was more the time served in Amazon, right? Yeah. And that is a really good investment in the future, because I'm sure there were times where even we looked at Amazon of just like, we're really pushing this as the next big thing. Are we sure about this? Thankfully, turned out to be true. Yeah. But that also got me thinking about a meeting where we had a meeting with a potential partner, not a client, but somebody who we were going to collaborate with. And they brought in, I really hope they don't see it. They brought in a 360 camera.
Right.
To show that they were always looking out for the cutting edge in technology.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest, like, I really don't want to say it, but like business turnoff. Like that was when my mind switched off. Because I was like, one, it lacks relevance. Two, I don't think 360 cameras have a place in this space, in what we were going to work on. It wasn't relevant at all.
Well, I agree. And sorry, I'm interrupting you, but as far as I remember, they didn't discuss it much.
No, they just showed it to us.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And the one thing is, I always want to be the person like championing something that's going to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, riding the wave, not being ahead of it, but just riding it on the right time, as you say, timing it perfectly. I never want to go in there and just go, yeah, Web3.
Yeah.
And then like in 5 years, it's just like, oh no, it was never meant for e-commerce.
Yeah.
Web3 is for like digital meetings and shit.
Yeah. My thing here is like, it goes back to our whole brand thing at the beginning of the video. Like, if you're going to push something and you're going to plug it, or you're going to believe in it and make sure you put your name to it, make sure you fully understand it, or understand it's the best of your ability. And I'm yet to meet, maybe there are some people in Silicon Valley in America that fully understand Web3, but in the, like, as far as the people I've actually met face to face who are heavily investing in this through crypto or Web3 or time, energy, very few actually understand what's going on. And that's the difference between, as you say, timing it and really understanding it, and just going to something because it sounds like the next big thing, and trying to get involved in something because it sounds fashy and fancy. And it takes serious focus to avoid going down that direction, right? Like, there's nothing stopping us from turning into a Web3 company. Yeah. But that focus of us knowing that, look, there is a place and we're going to keep our eye on it. But right now, this is where we know we need to double down on it. And I think you've got to be able to answer some hard questions. If you can't, then you don't know the industry. You don't know the industry.
Dude, I'm willing to bet that there is about let's say like 1,000 to 5,000 people who really get it, and they're going to be pivotal in the future generations of the internet. Yeah. And then there's there's the other 8.5 billion people who claim they know everything about it. That's very interesting.
But I think those, like you say, those 1,000 people who fully get it, or get it to the most they can in 2022, they're getting annoyed with the people that are just jumping on the bandwagon, because they appreciate that this is early, it takes time, it needs building, whereas trying to sell bored apes on as an NFT is not really building this industry.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very valid point. And for work-related purposes, I'm not overly concerned. Something else that's actually been on my mind, and this is very deep away from the other topic we were going to discuss, but is that I personally don't know enough about Web3. And I'll say it for this reason, right? Predominantly, there has been 4 social media platforms that have just spanned the entirety of the internet since social media was a thing. Right? Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. And then you can choose whether you put LinkedIn or YouTube up there. It's up to you. Because you can... LinkedIn, because I don't know if it's social networking, not social media. And YouTube is giant, but I don't know if it's like...
And Twitter.
It's social. Those are the 4,
it's a little forgotten side. It's a forgotten brother.
Yeah, a little 30 billion pound side thing. Yeah. But... like, there you go. Let's say there's 6 and include all of them under one umbrella. They've spanned the entirety, and there have been ones that have come and gone. I didn't mention TikTok. Don't get angry at that. Yes, I take it seriously, whatever. But there have been some that have come and gone. Yeah. Vine, I'm sure there's a
Vine, it got acquired by Twitter or something.
Yeah, and then shut down. But there have been a few that have come and gone.
Pinterest. They're still here, but then...
No, dude, Pinterest.
It's good.
You got to find the right target audience. Yeah. And by that, I mean...
sorry, just conscious of time, but...
Sorry. You got to find the right target audience, but they love Pinterest. They stand by it. Oh, yeah. And that's cool. But, it's just they've ruled that kingdom for such a long time. And I'm just wondering, like, what's the next... who's going to rule the next kingdom?
This is it. I think maybe that's where we move to a decentralized world, where there is no ruler. Yeah. But... again, I don't fully understand it, but I don't see there can't be anyone bigger than Facebook. Yeah. Other than...
well, with a big head start.
Sorry?
They have a big head start too.
Yeah, well, this is it, but they're huge. But that doesn't mean they're going to control this forever. And that's where it's like, actually, just because you're big doesn't make you the controller or the ruler over this. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting space. And I think with a lot of this kind of control and free speech and stuff around the world on the internet, we've lost the essence of the internet. And that's where decentralization will probably come into place. But yeah, another whole podcast together.
Yeah, I know, but that just got us like 100 views.
Yeah.
The one of me complaining about Bitcoin that's flying.
But yeah, perfect. So, I mean, that was nice.
That was nice.
Yeah, I think we came up with our business vision as well, where we're going. So
Web3 commerce?
Yeah.
Or no, we're going back.
Yeah, we're going back.
To the future. By
This is it.
taking retail to the future.
Exactly, but we've got a lot of thinking to do there.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you really did enjoy this, or even if you didn't, please just like, or like, dislike, whatever you want to do. Make sure you comment as well. Please subscribe, do whatever you got to do, share this, and let us know what you want to hear next time, if you want to. And tell us who Sam looks like as well. We had a funny comment on that on Instagram. But yeah, thank you for listening, and see you next time.